Hi everyone, Jamie Humphries here for Six String Alliance, and today we are taking a look at the WAMPLER Triumph Overdrive and Phenom Distortion pedal. So in today's video, we're taking a look at a couple of WAMPLER pedals that have been out for a little while. Now, I have had these pedals quite a while, but unfortunately, I was unable to do the launch due to some personal things going on back in England, and then I had a couple of tours on top of that as well. So what we decided to do, WAMPLER still wanted me to look at these pedals. I love WAMPLER pedals, and I'm always normally involved with the launches if the pedals are the kind of thing that I look at. And so what we decided to do was just to postpone the video for once I come up for air and the dust had settled a little bit and I could get back into doing demos. So here we are today taking a look at these pair of wonderful pedals. Now, as I've already mentioned, I'm a huge fan of WAMPLER. I do a lot of work for WAMPLER. You will notice paid promotion on this video. As ever with my videos, whoever I do videos for, unless I like the product, I'm not going to do a demo of it. Regardless of if there's any remuneration or gear provided, if I'm not into something, I'm certainly not going to do it. I don't see the point of that. I always like the WAMPLER stuff. I think they make some great pedals, and I was very keen to look at these pedals because they are slightly more cost effective. Now, when I say slightly more cost effective, I hate the term budget pedals or budget range because that obviously draws up sort of images of them not being particularly well made or cheaper components or whatever. And that certainly isn't the case with these pair of pedals. Now, both of these pedals, I believe they're around the $99 mark, or I think I saw them on Thomann for about £106. So they are considerably cheaper than some of the slightly more elaborate pedals in the range, which obviously are part of the American-made pedals. First of all, I think when you look at the pedals, you can see that the graphics on them are slightly more straightforward. One of the things I always love about the WAMPLER pedals are the elaborate graphics. They look cool. These are a little bit more straight ahead, but by no means are these pedals straight ahead when it comes to tone. I have to say that these two pedals are actually probably a pair of the best pedals that I've played in a while, especially when it comes to pedals in overdrive pedals and distortion pedals, and pedals for that matter in the WAMPLER range. I love Brian's pedals, but I normally go for the slightly more simplistic pedals. Sometimes there's lots of switches and stuff, and those of you that have watched other videos of mine will know that I tend to favour amp distortion with a booster. And so if I'm going to look at adding a pedal into my setup or into my signal chain, I like something a little bit more straight ahead. And these pedals definitely fall into that criteria that I look for. And on top of that, they sound absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let's kick things off by taking a look at the Triumph. This is an overdrive pedal. I should mention that the Phenom, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is a distortion pedal. And this pedal here is based on two of Brian's favourite overdrive pedals, which are I think it's a Digitech Bad Monkey. I think that's who made it. It's the Bad Monkey and the classic Boss SD1. Now, as with all of Brian's pedals, there's always something a little bit extra going on. When looking at this overdrive, looking at the Triumph, when you think about an SD1, I think that's just got like a tone control on it. You've got more tonal flexibility with this incredibly well-voiced 3-band EQ. So we have bass, middle, and treble. We have our volume control and our gain control. And then we have this voice switch. Now, when it's set to punch, that gives you a little bit more, as it says, a little bit more punch. And that is based on the circuit of the SD1, whilst the smooth is based on the Bad Monkey. Now, on top of that, within the pedal, we have some little dip switches that you can flick to change the tone if you so desire. To be quite honest with you, I found I got everything that I wanted from this pedal just by using the controls on the front. I didn't have to dive into the back of the pedal. We've got your input and your output, and then you have your power supply there. I believe that's 9 to 18 volts. I've got it running off of a 9-volt power supply. I should mention the gear that I'm using today. Obviously, the demo track at the front of this video had a very strong Joe Satriani nod. I guess you could call it Summer Wrong. I wanted to use my JS, also having the kind of nature of these two pedals. We'll talk about the Phenom, obviously, in a moment where we looked at the Triumph, but having that sort of SD1 vibe going on with the overdrive, and then the kind of voicing of the Phenom, it sort of made me think a little bit about Joe Satriani. I've been on a real Satch thing since I got the JS guitar, and I've actually been looking. I have an SD1. I have a couple of SD1s, but I've never got the Boss distortion pedal. Is it the DS1? And I've been looking at vintage ones, and I've been looking at new ones. I've been looking at the Wazacraft ones, thinking, I'd really like to get one of those. And to be honest with you, this pedal has filled that void. So yeah, the pedals pretty much inspired my choice of artist to nod. So I'm using my JS. This is a fantastic guitar. This is a really good fun guitar to play. One of the things that I did make use of is the high pass filter. So you kind of roll off a little bit of the low end, which I was using when I was playing the lead melody, all of the solos, and the slide. Actually, we should mention the slide. I've got this thing over here on my music stand. If I can just grab that. I wanted to raise the pitch of the strings. So if you're looking going, what on earth is that under his strings? I used the Dunlop strap pick holder and I slid it under. And actually, when I got it in position, I managed to get an open A5 chord on the D and the G string. Someone else pointed out to me on Facebook about using a pencil. So if you see this strange thing sticking out, it was just to raise the strings so that I could play slide nicely, because the action is so low on this guitar, you can blow it and get a note out of it. Use the JS throughout, and I'm plugged into the Mesa Mini Rec, and I'm using Cab Clone IR. So let's kick off by having a listen to the Triumph. First of all, let's listen to my clean tone. Now, I don't have a totally clean tone. I'm not a fan of adding pedals to a clean amp. I much prefer to have an amp that's slightly driven, that kind of vintage clean, if you like. So I've got the Mini Rec on the pushed clean. So that's sort of vintagey sounding clean, if you like. If I go on to both of the pickups on the JS and I pop the coil tap, you'll hear I get a nice clean tone that way. I've always played that way, even if I'm on the bridge humbucker. Just by playing a little bit softer. Obviously, the way that you pick a guitar is always going to be your first point of gain. If you hit it harder, it's going to break up more if your amp is slightly driven. So that's my clean sound. Like I said, it's not completely clean. It's a push clean. So we're on the punch setting of the Triumph. Let's turn that on with all of the controls in the middle. I actually used the Triumph for all the rhythm guitar and also for the slide solo during the intro track. Let's have a listen to that riff. Even with the controls in the middle, it's a great overdrive tone. Let's now go on to the smooth setting. Let's have a listen to that. Yeah, it just kind of, it does what it says on the tin. It smooths things out a little bit. Let's increase the drive. Let's stay on the smooth for the moment and let's push the drive up. Well, actually, let's back it down a little bit to start with. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? So we got the drive on about 9 o'clock. Go on to the neck, hot rail. You can drop down a little bit more, I guess. So it's a nice responsive curve on the gain. So let's go up a little bit more. Obviously, we've been to the halfway point. Push it further. That's really nice. And then we can just go even further, all the way up. It's not compressing. It's as you're gradually pushing the gain up, it's still increasing and it's still very music. That sounds great. Let's go on to the punch setting now. Have a listen to that. That sounds lovely. It's just a really good pedal. Yeah, that's what I mean. It just sort of does something really musical with your amp, even with the controls all the way in the middle. Let's drop the bass control down. Go back onto smooth. I really liked smooth, actually. That was the one that I sort of gravitated to more than the punch for some reason. Even though I have an SD1, I just like the tone of it. I thought it sounded great. You can push in some low end. Push that up further. Yeah, it's adding some weight to it. It's really responsive. Yeah. Okay, let's have a listen to the mid-range. Let's pull that all the way out. That's nice. Let's push in a bit of the bottom end as well. Let's go onto the punch setting. Yeah, I think I prefer the smooth, actually. I think it's just smoother. Let's have a listen to the top end. Oh, it gets a little bit fuzzy when we get all the way up, but who would turn their treble control all the way up? I think that's really nice. Again, I kind of used the two pedals together, although I used it, the Triumph, for some slide soloing. It was more of a, let's use that for the rhythm sound. But again, it will work nice. Let's go single coil on that. Let's pull down the gain a little bit, drop some mid. Let's have a listen to that on the humbucker. Let's go on to the punch setting. Okay, that's interesting. I kind of prefer the punch setting for playing lead. Yeah, I like that. That's kind of interesting. That I think that the just for my ears anyway. Let's go back onto that smooth setting for the lead. You know, that sounds great. It does sound great, but I just sort of found that it just kind of sat a little bit better for the rhythm sound. But when going onto that onto the punch. For the lead sound, it just added a little bit more fullness. So hopefully you can hear from that the amount of different tones that you can get from this. And for, you know, a $99 pedal, I think that's really cool. It's not cheap, but yeah, it sounds really cool. Now let's have a look at the Phenom. Now, Brian has said that this is based on a circuit that he released or that he worked on in various different guises, which was called the Plextortion, I believe. But he was never fully happy with that and has done more of his stuff that I don't really understand, and wanted to come up with a pedal that was sort of more akin to sort of an old school 5150. So I think that this pedal kind of picks up where this one left off. That's why it's such a nice pairing. Okay, so let's now have a listen to the Phenom. Let's turn that on. The switch isn't stiff, by the way. Obviously, it's a click switch as opposed to the smooth switches that we often see on the WAMPLER pedals, and I just don't want to shoot my pedal stand off the back of the cab, so I am holding on to it. But yeah, on the board, absolutely no problem with that, with the switches. So let's have a listen with everything in the middle. A nice mild overdrive. We're on the classic voicing. Let's push the, let's bring the gain down actually to start off with. It's nice. Up a bit more. Got a single coil on the neck. Okay, onto the bridge. Yeah, a bit more. Wow, that's really nice. I never know what to play in demos. I always feel I'm just aimlessly noodling around. Let's push the gain all the way up. Yes, there's a truckload of gain in there. Let's go on to the, let's have a listen to the EQ. Pull out the bass control. Mid-range. Just kicking that bright. Back on classic, pull down the treble. So as you can hear, it's a fantastic sounding pedal. It's got lots of gain as well as plenty of scope with the EQ. And with the added bonus of that voice switch, so you can either keep things nice and sort of fat and punchy on the classic sound, or should I say the classic voice, or you can push up into the bright to get a little bit more cut to the sound. Okay, so that's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this demo. I think that the intro track really highlights how powerful these two pedals are, above my kind of inane waffling and fiddling around. But hopefully some of the isolated examples that I've played there give you a little bit more of an idea of how the pedals sound on their own. As I said, these are, I don't like the word budget, but these are slightly more cost-effective WAMPLER pedals, and hopefully they will add some more pedals to this range. But if you are in the market for an overdrive and or a distortion, I would highly recommend these two pedals. I think that these will be pedals that are at the front of my pedal cabinet in there for pedals that I reach for. They're just really inspiring to use, and they sound fantastic. Anyway, that's it from me. Click the link in the description below for more info, and I'll see you here very soon. Bye for now.